Greetings, this is the Crunchy Fan. Today I'll be doing a what if to try something new. This will be what if female deku was albedo. Now in this timeline, Izumi will be born, name will be albedo, and if I say Izumi or Izuku, you'll know I'll be talking about albedo, and she will be Momo's older twin sister. So, we'll go to... Now, the story begins with her birth, when she is born, the doctors are in shock with the fact that they see a baby girl with two black feathered wings, two horns, and a pair of yellow slit eyes looking back at them as they realize that that Quirk might be a mutation, and give me a second. Okay, and then a couple minutes later, Momo Yaoyorozu was born, and since albedo had a more monstrous appearance than Momo was made the heir of the Yaoyorozu fortune, and when they got home, they placed Izumi and Momo in two separate rooms. We're going to do a time skip of of 4 or 5 years to when Izumi and Momo are getting their quirks evaluated, and in this one, they don't have. It's not the same quirk doctor as in canon, so when they get their quirks analyzed, they come back and say that Momo has a very powerful creation quirk. And when they ask what is Zumi's quirk, they say Izumi here has a unidentified quirk, but it seems to be a mix between a mutation and a emitter type quirk. So once they got that information, they thank the doctor and then go home, and essentially for most of her life, Izumi was ignored by her father, but her mother still looked after her, while her father was focused more on Momo. So we're going to time skip a couple years into the future to when they go into kindergarten, and essentially everybody knows about albedo's quirk, and they start bullying her and calling her a villain. And they're essentially in the playground when three girls walked up to her and just started verbally abusing Izumi because of her monstrous appearance. So Momo would try to protect her sister by telling them to stop that, and the bullies respond with, "What are you going to do, rich girl?" And then Momo, I'm going to say Momo is a bit smarter in this, so she knows how to make a flashbang grenade already. So she creates one, and when she pulls the pin, she tells albedo to cover her eyes. Albedo does, and so does she. And when it goes off, all the bullies are blinded by this, And Momo grabs Izumi's hand and then just starts running. And later in the day, both Izumi and Momo are called to the principal's office. And essentially, there were the three bullies and the bullies' parents, along with Mr. and Mrs. Yaoyorozu. Now, when the principal asked why did Momo nearly blind three kids with a flashbang, the bullies jumped in by saying Izumi was attacking them, and before a teacher could come, Momo flashbanged them, and they ran off. But Albedo and Momo jumped in by saying that wasn't true, and saying that Albedo was the one who was being bullied, and Momo did create a flashbang, but it was to protect Izumi. So the principal looks over both the situations, and he says, Mr. Yaoyorozu, both your daughters appear to be telling the truth, but I will spend the students in this room for a period of a week. And once they get out of the office and head home, Izumi is then grabbed by her wrist by Mr. Yaoyorozu, and is then basically thrown into her room, and Mr. Yaoyorozu says, I don't want to see your face around me again, you monster, as he then closes the door and locks it behind him, and Izumi just goes into her bed and just starts crying. So we're going to time skip a couple years to the end of middle school, where the teacher is handing out papers with jobs for the future, but he then throws them up into the air saying, I'm just joking, I know you all want to be heroes. And everybody then starts using their quirks. Now, since Albedo was not favored by Mr. Yaoyorozu, she was sent to the same middle school as Bakugo Katsuki. And as we all know, Bakugo is the biggest douche in the entirety of My Hero Academia, only rivaled by Endeavor. So Bakugo then says his lines of, don't try to put me in with these losers. They'd be lucky enough to become a sidekick to a busted D-lister. And he says, I'm the only one who's going to go to UA and become the new #1 hero. I'm going to become even popular than All Might. And he then says, Albedo, you said you wanted to go to UA as well. And everybody just started laughing at her. And when she tried to defend herself, Bakugo came over and blew up her desk and said, you really think UA would let a damn villain like you in, you villain? And Izumi would try to defend himself, saying, Bakugo, is not everybody is a villain just because their quirk makes them look like a villain. Just take a look at you. Your quirk is villainous as well, yet people look at you like a hero. And then Bakugo made a larger explosion and threw it to Izumi. But due to her high endurance from all the training she's done, she's able to take the explosion. And basically during all this, the teacher doesn't do anything because he thinks that Izumi also has quite villainous quirk due to her appearance. And when I'm talking about appearance, I mean the 2 horns, the slit eyes, and the 2 black wings. So, as Izumi's packing up, Bakugo essentially walks up to her saying, "Don't even bother to try to get into UA, you damn villain. They're not going to accept you." And as Bakugo walks past her, he says, "Well, there's one way you can get into UA. Just pray you get a heroic quirk in your next life, and then just take a swan dive off the roof." And as Bakugo's words rang through Izumi's head as she was walking home, she tried to not let them get down, but those words hit like a truck. So as Izumi was walking down the usual path she takes to head home, she passes through a familiar looking tunnel to those of us who have seen the show, as she hears a manhole cover being opened and a Sludge villain saying, "You there, kid, give me your body. I didn't know that freak was in town." And as the Sludge villain went towards her, Izumi then used the skill Wall of Jericho to block the Sludge villain from trying to attack her, and then tries to make a run for it, but she's then caught by the Sludge villain. But before Izumi loses consciousness, she hears the familiar, "No need to fear. Why? Because I am here." And as the Sludge villain turns around and Izumi looks, she sees All Might. Now, in this timeline, Albedo does not idolize All Might as much as her canon counterpart. She more idolizes Miracle and Midnight. The Midnight part will come in a bit later. So, as that happens, as All Might does the Detroit Smash and splatters the Sludge villain, Izumi passes out and then wakes up a couple minutes later, after All Might cleared up the Sludge villain, and said that her quirk is very powerful, and asks what's it called. Izumi says, "I don't really have a name for it, but I just I called it I named it after myself, which is Albedo." Now, All Might is like stuck thinking, "Albedo, where have I heard that name before?" As he then saying, "Wait, you're the oldest daughter of the Yaoyorozu, aren't you?" As Izumi then looks down in shame, saying, "I am, but my father doesn't recognize me as his own daughter. In fact, the last time I had a actual conversation with him, he called me a monster and locked me in my room." No, All Might would look at her, and he would feel sorry for her for having to go through that. As All Might would then say, "Well, I have to go. I will see you sometime in the future, probably." As when All Might is about to jump off, Izumi was about to ask him a question, but before she could ask him, he jumped off, and Izumi, using her wings, decided to fly after him and grabbed onto his leg, and All Might realized that she was on his leg, and then they both landed on a building. Now, Izumi, as they both landed, All Might started to show off some steam as he started to divert to his skinny form, as Izumi was about to ask, "Can I become a hero with a villainous quirk like mine?" And right as she finished that sentence, she saw All Might in his skinny form, but she could tell that it was still All Might. So he asks her question again to All Might, as he says, "A quirk is neither heroic nor villainous. Is defined as a quirk is the person makes the quirk, not the other way around." And Izumi would feel inspired by this and thank All Might, as she would then walk down the stairwell adjacent to the building, as All Might would then follow a couple minutes later, where they would both see an explosion, and they would both run to it, seeing that Bakugo was was captured by the Sludge villain, and since All Might was at his time limit, he couldn't really do anything about it, so Izumi then ran in to save Bakugo, and as the Sludge villain sees that she was coming toward him, he then decided to throw an attack her way, but Izumi managed to dodge it, and with her enhanced speed and strength from training and due to her quirk, she would then jump onto blind the Sludge villain by summoning a axe and just slashing the ground to blind the Sludge villain with dust, as Izumi would then grab Bakugo and try to pull him out, but she couldn't pull him out, and as the Sludge villain regained sight, he was about to attack Albedo, but the attack was blocked by All Might, as he then goes to pulls both Bakugo and Izumi out of the way of his attack, as he launches another Detroit Smash, essentially changing the weather. And after the Sludge villain was being cleared up, Izumi was scolded for trying to save Bakugo, while Bakugo is praised for his powerful quirk. And as Izumi was walking home, she heard somebody running up behind her, and she turned around to see Bakugo saying, I did not need your help. I had that situation under control, you damn villain." Yes. Bakugo then storms off, saying, as Izumi then turned around, saying in her head, guess I should start giving up on my dreams, as All Might then dashes around the corner, saying, "I am here." As Izumi was then asking All Might, "Weren't you just surrounded by reporters earlier?" As then All Might would then say his line that he did in the show before he deflates, and Izumi and All Might would then say, "Your actions back there when that kid was trapped in the Sludge villain. Most great heroes tell stories of when they were younger, about when their body moved before their mind could." And as Izumi was then would then start getting emotional as All Might would then say, "You too can be a hero." And that's where I'm going to end it off. I do hope you enjoyed this, and I will see you all in the next part.